Hey guys, today we're working on my 89 Ford Mustang convertible. So it's been sitting for quite a while now and it does need some love, so let's start with the fuel pump, shall we? So the tank is located under the car. We pulled it out and here it is. And there's our pump assembly down in there. There's a snap ring that comes out. Once that lock ring is removed, the pump comes up and out. Sorta. And there's our fuel pump sending unit. And that's the pump on the very bottom down here. So now here's our new pump all installed. This is a high performance pump. It has more PSI than the original. Maybe it'll help wake this little car up some. And now the tank's going back in. Tightening up them rusty bolts. Already got mine in. And let's see what happens. Oh yeah. Now a tune up, a timing belt, a good bath, some new tires. We'll be ready for summer. Beach bound, baby. A little nervous. The mechanic's been under the car for a long time and he ain't said nothing good so far. Let's check on him. Working on the Mustang. What you think, buddy? What's it looking like?
You can check the engine what it looks like.
I can check the engine what it looks like?
Yeah.
Is it looking bad? Looks like it's gonna need a lot of work.
Yeah.
A lot of work. You got all your tools?
Yeah.
Yeah. Not looking too good, huh? It's a little bit good.
Yeah.
Time
Time to do this.
to do that. How much is it gonna cost me, Cam?
$20.
$20.
Yeah.
Breaking the bank trying to fix my car. How soon can you have it done, buddy?
In 20 hours.
20 hours. $20 in 20 hours. He'll have the 65 Mustang fixed.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm gonna leave it to you then. All right. 2010 Ford Mustang V6 automatic. Got a slipping transmission. We drained the pan. Some of it's in that bucket. It looks no bueno. And if you come over here to the pan itself, we've got nice thick deposits.
I got a clean magnet. Let's see here.
Yeah, probably band material.
Okay, so I get cleaned off.
Mm.
This is not laying in it either. This is just kind of going across it.
Oh yeah, that's the good stuff. Now, that's the magnet that's in the trans pan.
Looks like some kind of animal.
Like some type of sea urchin.
Look what it did.
All right, I'm gonna touch it.
Ooh.
Yeah. So you see the actual size of the magnet in there, guys? Oh, look, you fixed it. Yeah, so the actual magnet is much smaller. This thing is just caked. I mean, look at that. Yeah. So, she's dead, Jim. Time to pull it and go through it. All right, my car friends on TikTok, take a second to watch this video. So we're rebuilding a carburetor for a 67 Ford Galaxy, and it's a 2-barrel. The carburetor was really dirty, and I don't have a new ultrasonic cleaner yet, so we're gonna make one. You're gonna need just a little bucket, some purple power, and a source of hot water. Now I'm gonna fill the bucket up with hot water just enough to almost completely submerge the carburetor. Then mix in a couple cups worth of purple power, and I'm soaking my carburetor in here. The mixture is nice and warm to the touch. I'm gonna use a cheap Bauer brand. This is Harbor Freight. It's a Sawzall. You can also use a sander unless your sander decides to blow up like mine. We're gonna zip tie the end of the Sawzall, the part of it that doesn't move, to the end of the bucket so it can't move around. Then I'm gonna take a loose piece of string and tie the throttle open. And now with our throttle tied, you can see it's working. You can run it a little faster if you like. Only takes about 20 minutes. Enjoy. 04 F-150 with the mighty 2-valve 4.6. Blew the engine, so this is its new junkyard engine that's going in here. And my throttle bodies are different from the motor we pulled because the motor we pulled is from a van. So the top of the throttle body is different from my factory one. This truck had EGR codes in it and a bunch of different vacuum manifold pressure codes and stuff. And looky here. These are the two EGR ports. They don't look like ports, but the EGR bolts here and the air is pushed back into the intake through these two channels, and they are completely just carbon built up. I mean, it's caked. Look at this. I don't think I've ever seen one quite this bad. Now I got to figure out how to get all this crap out, because you should be able to see some light through there. But yeah, plus this collar on the back, this is what caused all of our issues. This little neck right here that cools something for the throttle body essentially, but coolant moves through it and then goes back to the intake. You can bypass these, but this is what was leaking coolant. This is what caused the truck to run hot. This is what blew the engine. This little collar right here is on the back of the throttle body, way back up in there, and it was leaking down into the valley through the holes in this intake and leaking down into here. And with all the covers and stuff on it, you couldn't see it. You just knew you had a coolant leak, or you didn't until it was too late, like this poor truck suffered because of that. So this little collar blew this engine, and it's now having to have all this work. And you can bypass these. You don't even have to have this. You can just loop this together from here to here, and bam, she will run perfectly fine. And that could have been done, but it wasn't. So let's get this shit cleaned out.
Good morning, patrons of TikTok. The Wolf of Rust here, replacing a speed sensor in a 2009 Ford Fusion. 2.3 dual overhead cam 4.
Airbox clips off. Lower portion of the airbox isn't actually bolted, just two little side clips there, and you pull it out.
There he is. Bolts off, connectors unplugged. Time to pull them out.
And there it is.
Compare it to the new part. Looks the same. Make sure to put the connector back on, tighten the bolt up. Lower airbox boot. Clip, ready to go.
Set all driver modules and test drive.
Well, it does drive and it does shift, but there are still other underlying issues. I just replaced what the customer wanted though.
On to the next one. 2002 Ford Crown Victoria, 4.6 V8. Guess what we're doing? If you said intake gaskets, you are correct. So this is the factory style intake manifold for a Crown Victoria. Notice it's all plastic. So they make an upgraded intake manifold that has an aluminum crossover for the coolant pipe right here and the thermostat neck. Those old ones were prone to leaking and cracking due to the heat, so the upgraded part is aluminum now. I just thought I'd share because most of these have already been done by now, and it's not every day that you get to pull the factory intake off one of these and fix the issue that they had. Dad also found a spark plug up under the intake.
Does that mean it's a non-cylinder?
Just showing that it has had a tune-up at some point in its life. And there's openings at the front and back, so they probably just dropped the plug and it went plink plink right down in there to the valley. But besides that, bunch of grimy stuff. We're gonna vacuum all this out, blow the cylinders clean, throw the new intake manifold on there with the aluminum crossover pipe, and put another Panther body back on the road. This guy made it to 149,000 miles on its original intake. Like I said, it used to be all the time you got to do these, but with the Panther platform dead and Ford no longer making them, you don't see a whole lot of them anymore. But anyway, when's the last time you've done a 4.6 intake? Let me know. Will you show the new one before putting it on? Sure. Pop her open there. This is your new intake manifold, complete with instructions. This is the coolant crossover pipe that I was mentioning. On the old one, all of this is plastic, and this is prone to cracking and leaking. Now, our leak was actually cracked back here, on the passenger side rear corner. But once again, the new intake manifold, complete unit, upgraded crossover pipe, mint, no more leaks. We'll compare it to the old one. And gaskets, thermostat, and bolt hardware. And here's the old one again, just for comparison, on the plastic crossover pipe on the front. Virtually identical intakes, other than that one's just a upgraded part, and once again, aluminum crossover pipe, much better. But normally all of these have been done. It's very rare you come across a 4.6 in any Panther platform or truck, expedition, whatever, that has not already had the intake replaced, usually because of how bad these were to crack. So, made in the USA. All right, let's get it all buttoned back up. Okay, so I've got my owner's manual for my 05 Ford Crown Victoria, and I was trying to figure out how to get the clock spring and stuff out, and it wanted you to rotate the wheel, but the key was locked and it wouldn't turn, and I needed to rotate the wheel. So I rotated the whole wheel, and I still can't get the clock spring out. It's still stuck. So I'm trying to figure out my next approach for this. 2003 Ford Explorer, four-wheel drive with the 4-liter V6. Any guesses? Just like Patina in Politics said, we'll give you a second. And for those of you who said transmission, you are right. The timing chains are not rattling yet. It is the transmission. This is the second replacement transmission this vehicle has had. The first replacement transmission was given problems, and then they had it replaced again. The company that built the transmission said, sure, they'll send them another one. So they put another transmission in it. And now this transmission's acting weird. Takes a second to go into gear. You come to a stop. It doesn't want to take off. The pump's whining really bad. Dad just drained the fluid out of it. That's all the fluid that came out of that transmission right there. And in the pan, I don't know if you can see all the little shiny sparklies down in there. That's not glitter, folks. That's metal shavings. So I'm starting to wonder if they flushed out the coolers when they installed the new transmissions, or if they even put enough fluid in it. And there's some of the metal right there on that magnet. All right. First one in the shop this morning. 04 Ford Explorer with the 4-liter V6. Claims it's not charging. Get in here to the hood. Oh, and the shocks are no good. Go figure. Hang on. Got my Snap-on Universal 3/8 hood prop. And now we can get in here to check on this alternator issue. So over here, I've got a vintage. I say vintage. It's pushing 20 years old now. One of the Medtronics Micro 500s. We're going to use to test the alternator, but first, Mr. Patina in Politics himself in the flesh. How are we doing, Mr. Dillon?
Pretty good. I've had my coffee already.
Awesome. You don't drink coffee?
Yes, I do.
Since when?
Since my 2-month-old gets me up at 5 o'clock every morning.
Oh. So anyways, as I was saying before Mr. Dillon showed up, we're going to take and plug all this crap in. Now, there's much more modern ways to do this, but this is how the pioneers did it, so that's how we're going to do it. Choose test in vehicle. Yep. Select input. Cold cranking amps is 850. Testing. Surface charge detected. Turn headlights on. Headlights on detected. Turn headlights off. Headlights off detected. Resting cold cranking amps. Replace battery. Prepare for starter test. Oh, shoot, gotta get keys. Alright, we got our key. Press enter for starter test. Start engine. Crank volts 11.5. Press enter for charging test. Alternator voltage 12.3. Testing for charging voltage. Diesel engine. Charging system problem. No charging voltage. And there you have it. Diode ripple not detected. Charging system problem. So even though our dummy gauge up here thinks everything's fine, it is not. And I already knew it was the alternator, but I just wanted to show you guys how that old stuff works. Pretty neat, huh? Now, this is an old Explorer, and the guy ain't got a lot of money to spend on it, so he elected to put a used alternator on it, and that's fine by me. So now let's make another TikTok and change this alternator out for him, shall we? Alright, so starting off on this Ford Explorer, we're gonna knock our battery terminal loose, get that corroded nasty thing off of there. Fantastic, fantastic. Over here on our alternator, let's see, like a 10, maybe a 13, and then one electrical connector on the back. Alright, so I'm gonna put the wiring harness from the back of the alternator, put it over there, knock all these loose. I already did. They put that airbox in a bad spot, don't they? But anyway, you can go ahead and get these front two out like this, and then once you do, we'll pull in here and we'll get this belt off with the one bolt that's left. So I got a fancy tool for this, but down here on the tensioner pulley, there's a spot right there where you can put a 3/8 headed ratchet down in there to rotate the tensioner. Well, we're going to use this bad boy with the 3/8 adapter. I'm going through this double-ended, it's like a gear wrench, if I can do it. Yeah, and then this is going to go down in here. The squirrels on my roof are going nuts. And then this connects into this end. Alright, so our belt's off now down there. I'm just going to walk this last bolt out by hand because I don't feel like going to the back of the shop and getting the little 3/8 stubby. And I'm almost there. Ta-da! And we'll take this one the rest of the way out. Boom. Save your little bracket. And here is your dead alternator. It can go into the pile of all the others. So my used alternator is still connected to the bracket, so we will remove it from this bracket, which they've got the bolts backwards from what this one was. Got our new alternator sitting down in here. Gonna start all 3 bolts, and then we'll go tighten them down. Alright, little wire thing's back on, hot's on, our wiring harness is plugged in. Now let's slip this belt back on. Our belt and everything's back on. This cover was just sort of chilling there like that. Battery terminal. Now we're gonna test again. $14.39, $14.42. Now we can do a load test. And she passed. Back in her hole she goes. Customer can come pick it up. On to the next car. Alright, figured you guys might want to see this one. 2007 Ford F-150 with a 5.4 Triton. 137,000 miles on the truck. It was a repo, said it was running rough, skipping real bad, and didn't have no horsepower. They already changed all the coils on the driver's side cylinder head, which is where the misfires said that they were coming from. Pulled the valve cover off. It does not appear that the previous owner knew what oil changes were, because that's just... I mean, look at that. Yeah. And then moving on to the meat and potatoes. I was almost thinking, right? Almost thinking maybe with the truck being kind of low on miles, maybe it's just the solenoid here on top. This is part of the variable timing actuator solenoid. But no, that was not the case. If you notice the way this timing chain is tightly wrapped across the bottom, if you look down in here, yeah, you see how that chain is all bunched up? Yeah, if I can flashlight right there. It's just all bound up. The chain is broken. You can see the yellow guide right there. The chain is supposed to rest against that, and you can see the pile of chain down there on the bottom. So, yeah, see that? Do you see it? It is not supposed to look like that, my friend. And I would just like to add that this truck ran and drove in here on 4 cylinders. I mean, it was low on power and it sounded rough, but this 5.4 Triton ran on 4 cylinders and drove itself in this bay this morning. 4 cylinders with a bound up timing chain. So something, one of the guides probably just gave out at the bottom, and the chain bound up against the crank, and then pow, snapped the chain, and that was the end of it. Immediate misfire, immediate loss of power, no coming back from that. So looks like it's a Ford Friday, and I'm gonna tear down a 5.4. Hope you guys have a better weekend than me. Alright, so do you own a Ford fucking Ranger and the door handles are really loose? Like you gotta pull them way up to get it to open, you know, like yanking on it and shit. So this is how you fix that. Ignore the super dusty shit, it's a work truck. But take the door panel off, fold your little insulation thingy back out of your way, get your flashlight. It's gotta be Milwaukee, any other flashlight won't work. Boom, up in here is your door handle. So now on this door handle you've got these little slots here and back here, and you see the rod going through that one. These things are identical on both ends. This rod goes through here, and at one point in time there's even tape on that one. There's a plastic sleeve that kind of sits in there to help take up the slack in this door handle, and they wear out over time, and now you've got this big wallowed out hole and that linkage going through it. Now that wasn't a joke, so don't take it that way, but it just gets wallowed out, so you got to tighten it back up. And to do this, I normally take a small bolt. This is just what I had. It's one of those Torx bits. And this one was I don't remember what size this was, but it was small. It's like an 8 mil. And then I've got one of those locking nuts on the back side. This got the little rubber collar in it. So you put that through the top and tighten it down. That way, so when you lift the handle, as soon as you start to lift the handle, that linkage moves. Before that rod right there could slide up before it made contact. Now it's an immediate catch. And what that translates to, as soon as you grab the door handle, boom, look at that. It's open. So you just barely lift on it. It still closes good and tight, but boom, and it's open. Before you had to like pop on it. Now just whoop, whoop. Doesn't get any easier than that. If you look around your shop like mine, I'm sure you can find a random freaking bolt to put in it. Zip ties don't work that well. Use something like a bolt. Boop. Problemo solved. And that was the final thing to do on this Ranger. It's just got to put that door panel back on, and we can send that bad boy to the car lot. It's ready to be sold. And I got a cool ass looking little hat with ears on it. Nice filter. Thanks for watching. And good morning, everyone on TikTok. It's a Monday, and in typical Monday fashion, our Lincoln Navigator decided it wanted to be the first person in our shop this morning for repairs. This thing features a 5.4 Triton V8, and it had a horrible misfire. It wouldn't idle very well, flashing check engine light. Drivability was crap on it. I ran the codes. I came up with a bunch of cam sensor codes, engine misfires, all of which located on the passenger side cylinder head. Now, these 5.4 Tritons have technically like variable valve timing. Yes, it's almost like VTEC, but better. And these things have sensors for those, or solenoids I should say, located right here behind the oil filler cap. One on this side and one on this side. Where is it at? Where's it at? There it is, right there, this guy. And these things can get stuck, and then they'll cause all kinds of problems. So you hook a wire to one side of that terminal, preferably the blue and orange side. You ground it, start the vehicle up, rev it one time, unhook it, and if that fixes your problem, you got a bad solenoid. And that's what was wrong with her. Are you ready, kids? It's all back together. Scrub my grubby paws. Got the keys. So let's see if it worked. Check out the automatic steps. Ooh, fancy. Key in, on, start. Oh, it started. And warning lights are all going out, except for seatbelt. Let me buckle up. No codes popping up over here. That's a good sign. Let's drive it. All right, let's get it out of the parking lot. It went into drive. Oh, it shifted once. Let's get it to speed. All right, here we go, pulling out onto the road. First gear, second gear, third gear. Oh, we got a low tire light, that's okay. Fourth gear. Oh, it's shifting! Yeah! Oh yeah, it's shifting great. Interior crocodile alligator, we just fixed my Lincoln Navigator. Ha ha! Alright guys,